forearm workouts in here.
You might want to do that before we go. Oh, wait, we're live.
A little bit of forearm curls.
Put that away, Brad.
Excuse me.
This is a family show.
I gotta say, I made a hell of a business. So I got the tablet on this old little dresser thing that we cleaned out the whole basement, finding some cool stuff. So this time when I sit here, I might as well go through the drawers, right?
Yeah.
Remember these Livestrong bracelets?
I do.
I bought a bunch in high school, and I sold them for like triple what I paid for them. It was a damn good business.
But did they get rid of those once he got like his scandal?
I'm assuming so.
Yeah. I wonder if they would be. Hold on to it.
In the drawer, I got these workout things. I gotta
hang on to those Livestrong bracelets. They could be worth something one day. Is that something from Mahonison?
No, it says "World's Greatest Big Brother."
Oh,
I don't know why it's a cone. I don't know why it's a construction cone.
Who got you that?
Somebody.
I assume one of my sisters.
All right, you down to 2 people. So
yeah, I was about to say.
All right, carry on.
All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode number 33 of Yankee Chatter, brought to you by our wonderful friends at the Bigger and Bradder Sports Network, featuring Bradder and Big Tuna, who are joining us today on today's episode, and our good friend Joe Boo.
Joe Boo is being petted like a cat.
Yeah, it's kind of creepy, but I'm here for it. That's what the kids say these days, right?
I gave him a shot of rum and I lit his cigarette for him.
So,
Jesus Christ can't hit a curveball.
That's a movie that will always live in infamy. I don't care what anyone says. They were saying, like, it was on Dan Patrick's like top 10, and he says he keeps moving it down, and I'm like, moving it down.
The problem is there hasn't been a good baseball movie that's come out in the past what?
It's been a long time.
I'm trying to think of the last. I like 61, but that was a long time ago.
61's a good movie.
Was the Jackie Robinson movie good?
It wasn't bad.
Yeah.
I never saw 42.
My wife was an extra in that movie.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
I wonder how they do that stuff. I know that like they can put people in there, but they got to have like a template of people at first. You got to be in the stands to make people.
Yeah. You know? I know in 61 they had like a certain number of people, and then they just used the computer to multiply to fill up the ballpark. I mean, they filmed it in the old Tiger Stadium, so they actually had to add another level.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome stuff.
It really is actually. HBO produced and made the 61 movie, which was put on by Billy Crystal, and they did a whole behind the scenes making of that movie, and they showed that Thomas Jane, who actually is Mickey Mantle in the movie, never played baseball before, and he didn't know how to swing a bat. They had to bring someone in to teach him how to swing like Mickey Mantle, which I mean you would have to do for anyone playing the role, but that is now probably his swing because he never had a swing before in his life.
I hate to say it to be an asshole, but where was his parents? Doesn't know how to swing a bat.
He's a California guy. He was like a surfer.
Oh, okay.
Listen, on my hockey team alone up here in New York, you would not believe how many guys on our team do not know how to like throw a ball legitimately, like a real person.
I just don't.
It's sad.
That's weird to me. I don't know why that's so. I mean, I get it. Some people are into certain things, but like learning to throw is a fundamental of anything. Right. You know, even throw me that ketchup. You know, it's
look at that.
Yeah, I don't know when this is from or where we almost got one of the games, but it's pretty cool. That's the 2009 team celebrating there.
I was about to say, yeah, they won in 2009, right?
They did. Yeah. That's the last time they won, and anyone that's not a Yankee fan will definitely make sure you remember that.
Pretty sweet little book. I don't remember having it, but
I always loved that team because I loved CC, and I don't know why, but I loved AJ Burnett. You know, I know he really wasn't that great. I thought he was good in that playoffs. I remember that.
I was a fan of Burnett.
And
he was good that year. Yeah, that year he was solid. He was worth the money for his contract. But then the years after that, he started to.
Who was the? I can't figure out his name. The guy who won the MVP, the Chinese guy,
Matsui.
Matsui. I thought it was Tazaki. I don't know where that's coming from, but
no, I don't know.
Yeah, Wuhan. I don't know.
Well, since we're on the subject of baseball, because that is what this podcast is about, let's talk about what's going on in baseball right now. Not much going on with the Yankees per se, and I know this is a Yankee show, so those of you that tune in to watch to find out about the Yankees, not much going on. But baseball as a whole is trying to figure out what they're doing, when they're coming back, if they're coming back, and there's been quite a bit of drama going on this week. But before we get into that, some players speaking out and causing some drama. Life's not complete without drama, right, Brad?
Of course not.
That's what we live
big guy.
for.
Yep.
That's the
So
American way.
we're going to talk a little bit about Major League Baseball issued or released that they put together a proposal about possibly coming back this year and what that might look like for us and the players. So I'm going to share my screen here. Bear with me for a sec and make sure it works. I put together a little graphic just kind of outlining the what's going on here. Where'd it go? Great. Well, talk amongst yourselves.
Well, I'm just watching Joe Boo dance.
Yeah, it's moving back and forth.
I get the guy a cigar or something.
Dude, I mean, we'll talk about it, but when I showed that to you, Bradder, like how much money they're saying they're going to lose per game, if that's true, that's disgusting.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
They said as a whole, if they canceled the season, all the owners together are going to combine lose, $4 billion, which is a lot of money. I mean,
yeah,
but to own a team, you're a billionaire anyway. So,
but that's what I'm saying. A team like the Yankees will make that back the next year. The smaller market teams might be the ones that hurt the most. I mean, obviously.
The hell with them.
Do you think that, like, would in the NHL, the Coyotes, the NHL actually like bailed them out? Do you think the MLB would do the same thing?
I think MLB has done that before.
They've done it before. I didn't know.
Does that ring a bell, Greg, or no?
Yeah, it was the Brewers. Bud Selig was commissioner at the time.
MLB owned the Brewers for a while, but I don't know.
Is that where he was from?
Wasn't he
the Brewers?
Because right now MLB is like suing the Pirates because the Pirates just keep pocketing the revenue sharing money and not using it on their actual team. So
yeah, you were saying that last time.
I guess it depends on the situation of the team that's in need.
The issue with like the money and all that stuff to me is just, I mean, some people can disagree about it, and I get it. You want to be like compensated for what you do, but it's just disgusting amount of money these people are making. And it's not just the MLB, it's everything. And that's why, we'll get into it. I think that's why some of the guys have the opinions they do, because they know how much they're worth because they're being paid for it, and it's just like,
Would it make sense to you though? Like if you're performing for half the season, you should get paid half the salary.
But that's the thing. Yeah, I don't understand. Like, dude, it's if you're at a real job, but
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's kind of something we all talked about this week when this all came out, and it finally got it to work. So
there we go.
All right, sorry about that. So I got this from a CBS Sports article by Mike Axisa. I'm not sure how to say his name, and RJ Anderson. It just kind of outlines actually an article that Ken Rosenthal put out.
Rosenthal, yeah, he's a good guy too.
Yeah, he's a very good baseball writer. Probably one of the most trusted sources. And so they're looking at putting together an 80-game or so season beginning in July, and they would only face their division rivals and the same geographic division in the other league. So the AL East would play the AL East and the NL East. NL Central will play the NL Central and the AL Central. So that's kind of where it gets narrowed down to. There would be an expanded postseason format and would send 7 teams to the playoffs per league. It would be similar to an idea floated back during the offseason. I actually don't remember what that plan was, but that's what they're talking about doing. And then they're also talking about adding the universal DH to both the American League, which it already has, and the National League, which would be something they've been talking about doing for like long time now. They were supposed to do it. I think it was supposed to be next year that universal DH was supposed to come into effect. It would bring it in a year early, which is good. And for a couple reasons. One, because you're playing on such a compressed timeline, it protects the players, the pitchers most notably, since they're the ones that are most affected by this, and also creates jobs for some players that would only be confined to working in the American League. So what do you guys think about this? Is kind of the groundwork. I have another graphic that I want to share that I got directly from the Athletic article that Ken Rosenthal put out. I actually did the free week trial, so I actually got to read the whole article. But kind of your thoughts. What are you guys thinking? I'll leave this up so the viewers can read this.
Like the schedule-wise, what do we think? Or
just in general, like what are your first reactions to the shortened schedule, to playing a team in your own division? I don't really care about the playoff thing. Playoffs.
Both sides of the fence here, okay? I like the idea because it's different. It'd actually be really exciting to see the different team, like the amount of times they're playing a team, be kind of cool. The different playoff system be actually kind of fun. I like the universal DH Live. Always wanted that. But on the flip side, I don't think I can get into it as a real baseball season. Like, to me, it would just be an exhibition. It'd be like a way for MLB to just try out rules, like a throwaway season. And that's how I would feel about it. I don't know if you would get 100% effort of all the players, especially if they're not making what they think they should make. They're not gonna. I don't think they're gonna try as hard as they would because they don't want to get hurt. I just don't. I think there's too many unknowns. I don't think I could get behind a serious season like this. Although it'd be fun to watch, I think I'd be more on the scale of watching it just for entertainment, not like actually wanting the Yankees to win the World Series, because it wouldn't be a World Series to me.
Right. And I could see where you're coming from there. What do you think about that, Tino?
I just think that it's to me the one thing that they need to get this done only because it needs to show, and you can put the 80 games, do whatever you want, but we just need something. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter if they do 3 games. It'll still be watched. It'll still, you know what I'm saying? It's just like the NFL draft, like quadrupled their numbers in the, for their record. And it's just, with the designated hitter and all that stuff, it's just, to me, I've always thought the designated hitter was a great position because that was all I could do. I wasn't a very good fielder, so all I could do was hit.
And I'll say this, I'm sure you're a hell of a first baseman.
He held his own. He held his own.
The thing about it is, and I think, Brad, I heard you say it, it's just the World Series would just be a little bit different to me. It would kind of have to have an asterisk next to it, like, because I don't know, the baseball season, you don't face every team in a year, do you?
No.
Not
okay.
every team. Not
in your league, you do.
In your league, you do. Okay.
Yeah. So all the American League teams play each other, but you only play one division from the opposing league. And then it shifts. So one year the Yankees would play. We'll use the Yankees as an example. Would play all the NL East teams.
Okay.
And like the next year they'll play all the NL Central teams, but they'll still play the Mets because that draws. That's big for viewers.
Every team has their rival. Yeah.
Well, and or like the Orioles would play the Nationals, or the Dodgers would play the Angels, or stuff like that.
I just think that we're at a time now in America, maybe even the world, where we need to get something out there. You just got to do it. I mean, I'm surprised. I really am a little surprised they're going to do spring training as long as they think they're going to do it. I would have thought like 2 weeks, and some of them are saying they're going to open up like June 1st. So it's kind of like, okay, a month, and all that. But I just feel like it's these guys should have been keeping themselves healthy and somewhat loose while everything's going on. I know not everyone does, but it's just.
I mean, I've seen videos on social media. I know some of the Yankee players like Garrett Cole and these guys. They fill their bullpens. They work out. So some of the guys do, but you don't see a lot of what everyone else does. And just to put my 2 cents in, I agree to the extent that you're right. It's not a real season. It's baseball, and that's all I care about. It's baseball. I still think like the stats should count, like the player stats. and the records should count. But as far as, because players are still going to get paid, they're not going to play for nothing. As much as we all want them to, they're not going to play for nothing. So if they're getting paid, then their stats should count. But we had this conversation a few weeks ago where at the beginning of all this, I think it was before Tino started joining us, in that the World Series, the playoffs and the season, because it's a shorter season, it doesn't really carry the weight of a full season. So it shouldn't really be called the World Series. I think you and I talked about that, Brad.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was there. Okay, I couldn't remember. So if that's the case, then you don't call it the World Series. You just call it like the Major League Baseball Championship, just for a year, just so the stats still count, because you want to still get the player incentives. Because what if there's a player like, say, Albert Pujols, who is planning to retire after the season? Not that I'm saying he is, but just as an example. And he could break some records. Well, if he plays 80 games and the stats don't count, then what was the point for him to play? He might be retired. He might call quits after this year. So yes and no. I'm kind of torn. Yes, I love to watch baseball. Doesn't matter who's playing. It'd kind of be like the World Baseball Classic. It's something that everyone could get into.
Yeah.
It's entertaining for a short period of time. It's not the World Series, but you'll still say, okay, the 2020 season, they won the championship, but it's not a World Series. A different trophy, different MVP, different sort of things. But it's still something that's going to get us from A to B.
Who won the World Baseball Classic?
Last time was the U.S.
Was it the U.S.? I was wondering.
That's the first time they won. I think they beat the Dominican.
Yeah.
No, didn't Adam Jones rob Machado of a home run or something like that? Made a big deal about it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Remember.
They're starting to bring back those things, not just in baseball, but like hockey, they did it recently. It's a really cool concept. Like, instead of Olympics now, because it's a little bit different, baseball, and that's cool to watch that and stuff, because it's not only do you get to know, you could see teams play with their countrymen, you get to know where all these guys are from, because sometimes it's hard to keep track of where every guy is from. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Just say South. It's just.
Mm-hmm. Well, the other nice thing about the World Baseball Classic is if you're a generation or two, was it one generation or two generations removed? So like Mike Piazza, he could play for Italy because I think his parents or his grandparents were from Italy.
He really does play for Italy, I think.
Yeah, so
did.
You don't even have to, like A-Rod, he could play for the U.S. because he was born in the States and lives here, but he could also play for, I forget where he's from. Was it the Dominican?
I think Dominican, yeah.
Yeah, so he could play for one of those. So it's interesting. And just before we move on, I just want to kind of mention the Athletic article, because it goes into a little bit more information than the CBS article that I read about what MLB is proposing.
Well, did you see all the rules they'd have to follow?
That's what I couldn't find. So maybe while I bring that up, Brad, you can talk about that.
It's a joke. Like I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna watch baseball. These rules you have to follow. It's ridiculous. Plus, the CDC did tell baseball and actually all sports that their rules haven't changed. So if one guy on the team in like a MLB, one player on a team gets the virus, that whole team is quarantined for 2 weeks, plus the teams that they've played. So you'd have to pause the whole season. I don't see it happening.
There would be no point of having a season then.
Exactly.
So what if you're in the middle of the season? You're in the middle of 40 games. Let's say the Mets get it, which would mean that the Yankees, the Mets, the Red Sox, the Blue Jays, all those teams would be out. And how can they do the win-loss stuff? I mean, I know they're staying in one area. I think that's what they were saying. But still, it's like you don't want these guys playing into December.
No.
It's just
you don't. When a month later they're going to be reporting for.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that rule is a little interesting, and I would guess that the MLBPA is definitely going to kind of push back on that. Be like, well, then what's the point?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like.
Well, I think we'd all feel a little bit better about all this, us players and the owners, if there was more progress from people getting better and newer reported cases, and that this was starting to show signs of going away for a long time. But the fact that everything's opening up and people are still contracting the virus, at least what's being reported on the news, it doesn't give me that warm, fuzzy feeling inside that, oh, well, this is actually going to happen. So I think that's what you guys are trying to say, is in the sense that if there was a better guarantee that this was going away and that this could be sustained for what they're proposing, then I would be more into it. But the fact that it's a lot still remains to be seen and is unknown, it kind of makes it like, well, what's the point when you could just shut down in a week after the season starts?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is that if you're going to just dangle the thing right out there and say, oh, it's over, it's just like but it almost seems like we're all getting that anyway. Every day it's a new thing, like, oh, they're so close. 20 minutes later, they're nowhere near close. It just seems like it's a never ending of, and they'll never do it that way. They're going to present the news because that's what makes money. And, the thing is that you almost want them to be like, listen, don't share anything until you guys are at a place where this might actually really happen. It looks like it might happen, but with what Bratter said about the quarantine thing, it's like, unfortunately, why it wouldn't even be worth it. Or what do the people do? Do they hide it? There's no way they could hide it because they got. I get.
Go back to the screen with all of us. I don't think anyone's actually. I don't know if anyone's going to read that.
Well, it's up there, so whoever watches this later can pause it and read it.
But the thing, like I said, Brad, and I don't know if you understand what I'm saying, is that if there is even a thing of that, did they hide it? They can't hide it.
The virus? No,
yeah.
I mean.
No, they're going to be tested every day.
That's what I'm saying. I mean,
so some of the rules, Greg, is you will not be able to shower at the ballpark. You have to shower at home. You have to possibly arrive to the stadium already in uniform, like you're a teenager again. You can't leave the hotel if you're on a road trip to go to restaurants or anywhere. You have to stay in your hotel.
Oh my God.
No mascots or any team personnel can be allowed on the field. There'll be no exchanging of lineup cards. There'll be no high fives, no fist bumps, no bat boys. There will be you can have 50 players with the number active for each game to be negotiated still. You cannot spit. There's no water jugs, no use of saunas, steam rooms, pools, or cryotherapy chambers. Hitting in indoor cages would be discouraged. Batting gloves would have to be worn by all players. Batting practice pitchers are to wear masks. Dugout telephones be disinfected for each use. Players may not touch their face to give signs. And they're not allowed to lick their fingers even if they're on the mound. You have to hold all meetings outdoors. Let's see. You would have to also fielders would be encouraged to retreat several steps away from the base runner after every pitch. So and it keeps going on and on. So it's not baseball to me, and I don't want to watch. I don't want to watch the game if it's like that.
That's not even worth it. That's not even worth it. That wouldn't even be worth it to play.
No,
you can't do nothing.
There's a lot of restrictions there. I think the only thing that is in favor, I would think, would support that is it's temporary. It's for one season. You have to kind of have the mindset is these are not permanent rules. These are not things we're going to be doing forever, hopefully. So if you really, really want them to play and they really, really want to play and they want to earn their paychecks, then you might have to make some sacrifices to get the thing that you want. And you might just have to put up with it for a short amount of time to get through this and to move on to the next thing.
As managers and coaches they have to wear masks while they're sitting.
Oh my God! Fuck! I wouldn't even do it.
No.
First and third base coaches are not able to approach the base runners or umpires. And players should not socialize with the opponents.
Oh my God!
It's definitely
the umpire throws them a baseball.
What's the thing? Like we have to tag them and then run away?
No. I'm saying if someone hits a foul ball and the ump has a baseball in his pocket and he throws to the pitcher.
Well, I'm assuming the umpires will be wearing gloves.
Oh, Jesus Christmas. You're going to have some wild people
and
from
probably
the ump.
masks too.
Yeah. Those poor guys. They're going to be sweating their asses off in there.
They already do, yeah.
Yeah, right?
And they're not young. And they're usually out of shape. So they might be
on
the field.
Mm-hmm.
Quick thing from the comments thing. RPZD Joker asked if this is the God thing from Major League. Yes, this is Joe Boo from Major League.
Mm-hmm. And I got to look on the comments right here too. I just wanted to say, Tino, you've been answering some of the comments so far, and yes, we would love to have a Q&A at any time. It'd be cool to get to know people that are watching, and if you do want to get to know us, we'd be more than willing to share, probably overshare if that's the case too. But yeah,
don't matter to us. We love talking sports.
Mm-hmm. Yep, comment anytime. We're open.
To me, it just, I mean, okay, I'm not, say you're the player and you look at it and I would be like, yeah, I'll come back when it's normal again. I'll just sit out this year. You know what I'm saying? It just seems like it's just like, because they're going to break those rules. It's not.
I'm sure not every player is comfortable with playing right now either. So it could be.
No, and that's the thing. It's like the guys are going to break the rules. Unfortunately, that's just going to happen.
So
this guy in the dugout and he spits and just kind of has that. Oh shit! Look at his face.
That's what I'm saying.
My bad.
I mean, these guys have been doing this their entire lives. You're gonna fall back in. You're back into it's an environment sort of thing. So I walk on the field. I'm gonna spit. I'm gonna chew seeds and spit on the floor. I'm gonna fist bump my teammate when they hit a home run. It's gonna be a force of habit, and they're gonna have to try real hard. And it might even be where it's gonna take them so much out of their element that it might affect how they play. Yeah. Which, Tino, I'm glad you brought this up because this is actually a perfect segue into our next topic of conversation. After all this came out, Tampa Bay Rays ace Blake Snell came out and he made some comments on how he felt about this whole manner and situation. And it kind of tore apart, split in half the Major League Baseball fan base in two: people that are in agreement with him and people that are like, this guy's crazy, stop being a spoiled millionaire. It's ridiculous. So I won't put him up on the screen because this has kind of been a little bit more difficult than I thought it was going to be. So I'll read to you guys some of what he said. I sent them to you before we did this, but I guess he was on Twitch.
Yep, he was on Twitch. Yeah,
he was on Twitch the other day, and someone asked him a question.
What the hell is Twitch?
Twitch is it's a streaming platform where you can stream while you play your video games.
All right.
So I don't know if you've been paying attention, but Major League Baseball had a players league for MLB The Show, and that's how they did it. They used Twitch to broadcast them playing against each other. It's actually pretty cool. I haven't tried it yet. I've been meaning to check it out because I play MLB The Show. And it's so someone asked him a question, and how do you feel about accepting a reduced salary? And I'm quoting him, y'all got to understand, man, for me to take a pay cut is not happening because the risk is through the roof. It's a shorter season with less pay. No, I got to get my money. I'm not playing unless I get mine, okay? And that's just the way it is for me. I'm sorry you guys think differently, but the risk is way the hell higher and the amount of money I'm making is way lower. Why would I think about doing that? Bro, I'm risking my life. What do you mean it should not be a thing? It should 100% be a thing. If I'm going to play, I should be getting the money I signed to be getting paid. I should not be getting half of what I'm getting paid because the season's cut in half, on top of a 33% cut of the half that's already there. So I'm really getting 25%. On top of that, it's getting taxed. So imagine how much I'm actually making to play. You know what I'm saying?
There's no state tax in Florida, jackass.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no state
federal tax.
Florida. Well, still, it's just, he's not, after reading it the way you said it, Greg, he's not smart. He talks like a moron.
Yeah.
He's always kind of been like that.
He seems very uneducated.
I understand where he's coming from, but it's like, dude, you're getting paid half the salary because you're playing half the game, half the year. That's all it is. It's not like you're getting cheap. They're still going to pay you, but you're just not getting paid. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like he thinks that they were going to pay him his full salary for the full year. It's like, dude, you're not playing a full year. If you were
a tweet from him just from like the week before too that said, "I don't care what I have to do. I want to get back on the field."
Yeah,
I think so. I think
Yeah.
he completely contradicted himself.
Yeah.
So no, I completely agree with you, Tino, because I mean, I know this guy signed a contract to make he would be making $7 million this year if they played a full season. So I know that he signed a contract, but that contract was contingent on him playing a 162 game season. Now I know he's a pitcher and he doesn't play every game, so he's not going to be like an everyday player. But still, you would take that in a prorated fashion. So he makes $7 million. Technically, you'd make now $3.5 million, which to me makes sense. You're playing half the season. You get paid for what you do. You get paid for the work that you do. Brad, you own and operate a sub shop, and you pay your employees hourly, I would assume. So if your employee came to you and said, and they typically work a 40-hour week, and they said, well, because of this, I'm only working 20 hours, but I still want you to pay me for 40 hours. How would you take that as an owner?
Right. I mean, everyone that works for me understands the situation. You got to do what you got to do to keep the business running. So obviously, if they're going to reduce their hours, then they get reduced pay. I mean, why do you think there's so many people on unemployment right now? Because that was the deal that they had to take: less hours, less pay, or unemployment. Because we don't have any hours for you. I mean,
he should also take a gauge of the situation he's in. You've got these people on unemployment, all that. You say something like that, it's like, I get it.
That's the problem. I was talking to Greg about this, and it's not that other players don't agree with him, because in the end they are a union, and they have to kind of agree with each other. They have to go for the biggest contract possible. It's their union duty, all that stuff. So they can't go out there and say, yeah, we'll pay for whatever the owners want to give us, because that's not how unions work. You lose all your footing there. But the minute you open your mouth and you start relating your situation to the everyday person situation, like saying, I'm not going to go out there unless I can pay my full price because it's not safe. And then you have other people that are working right now that are clearly not safe every day of their life. They're still working. You can't do that. You can't relate. You cannot try to have other people sympathize with you that aren't in your situation. Like
they're not going to.
Celebrity, movie star, rock star, athlete, any kind of celebrity, you cannot relate to the normal person. It's just not going to work. You're not going to get sympathy. No one's going to side with you. He should just kept his mouth shut. And that's what the other players are doing. They're all keeping their mouths shut
which is the smart thing to do, because you got to let the powers that be make that decision. You got to let that happen behind closed doors. The second, like you said, it comes out, then you're going to get millions of fans calling you an entitled jerk off. You can't do that. And I get why he'd be upset, because the owners will be making tons of money through this somehow. So the players should be getting their share. However, if you're only doing half the work, you should not be getting full pay. That's where I stand on this. And
it's got to be realistic though, from a business. You got
it. And what you're saying, I mean, what the theory is, if this season happens, they're not going to start off with fans in the stands, probably even for the full season. You don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. So when most of their revenue comes from fans paying the ticket prices and buying souvenirs and buying concessions and all that stuff, and the owners use that to pay most of their players' salaries, and you're not having that for however long this is, then where are they getting the money from? I understand that a lot of these guys could probably pay for their salaries out of their pocket, but that's not going to happen. So you got to find that equal playing field. You got to find that even ground somewhere. I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me when you got what you said, Tina, when you got millions of people struggling to make ends meet through all this, and you got a professional athlete who, even with the pay cut, is still doing better than the majority of the people in the country. That seems a little entitled, and I can't sympathize with that. I'm sorry.
And just like the one guy commented on, he said he could see it from both sides. I can too, but you've got to gauge the situation you're in. Mm-hmm. You're talking to a bunch of people that you don't know what their lifestyles are right now. You don't know if they're unemployed because of this coronavirus. You just got to kind of take it as it goes, but you got to be somewhat sympathetic with the people because these are your fans. These guys are watching you because these are your fans. You don't want to go to a rant with somebody. It always reminds me, I watch South Park every once in a while, and they made a show about Napster. And it's like, well, you're doing Napster, so now Lars Ulrich can't have a private jet for 6 weeks a year. He can have the other 48 because you stole his music. He can't have it for the full year. You know what I mean? It's the same kind of thing. It's just like
that is not why Lars Ulrich wanted to take down Napster.
True. It's just I just feel like it's the situation you're in, and I understand it, money, but these guys got to realize something. They are living 90% of the people's dream.
Mm-hmm.
You're a celebrity, you're an athlete, and you work hard at your craft, but at the end of the day, you're not gonna. When you're done with baseball, what do you have? You know, so that you should be grateful the time that you have it.
And I mean, you got to look. Go ahead, Tino. Sorry,
no,
that
it's unfortunate because if he said this, it would have been done by now if it was regular times. Mm-hmm. But since we're in the situation we're in, he's enemy number one right now about it.
Are they getting
unfortunately?
Are they getting paid right now?
You know, I'm not 100% sure. I don't think so.
Why don't you do this so at least you could make some money?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the thing. That's the thing. And if anyone that's watching this knows the answer to that question, comment or whatever, but that's the thing is if they're not getting paid now, and by taking a reduced pay gets them a paycheck for this year, and you're not going to do it because it's not what you were promised to get before all this happened, then that's asinine as well. There are millions of people in this country that would do that in a heartbeat because they don't know if they're going to get their job back or when they're going to get another paycheck. Yeah. So
now I will say, Boomer Wells, David Wells, Boomer Wells, he did bring a good point on Twitter. It's easy to make someone like Blake Snell the bad guy because he makes $7 million a year, but there is a lot of players out there that are still on their rookie contracts, not making a lot of money, and maybe getting paid below minimum wage, baseball minimum wage, to travel and take the risk and play, and we have to look at those guys too.
Mm-hmm. Well, from what I understand is that with all this, players will be getting a share of the revenues from whatever they make, whatever they're making through TV. And I don't understand all that part of this, but I know that will be players that will be taking a drastic pay cut, like minor leaguers if they even play, or rookies like you're saying, Brad. So it might bring their salary down to like $25,000.
What do you make when you're a rookie? What was it? Was it $550,000?
It's $550. So so even if they took a 50% pay cut, they're still making $250,000.
They're living
which is still much more than I make a year. So, but there must be more to it that we don't quite understand. Quite a bit more.
The other thing too is they were saying I was reading on Spot Track, who does a lot of the finances and all that, and they said with no fans and the players taking a prorated salary, that each team will lose $640,000 a game. If they take their full salary, it's like $1.5 million
per game. $640,000 a game.
And multiply that by 80.
The fans do actually mean a lot. As much as the owners don't really care about the fans sometimes, they do mean a lot to their pocketbook.
Well, I wonder if they mean like miss out on that money, not lose that money. You know what I mean?
No, they said it was a loss, a $640,000 loss.
Because think about it, you're not getting any revenue, but then you still got to pay all the staff that comes. Yeah. You have to pay all the players. You have to pay the grounds crew. You have to pay all these people. But then you have like the TV crews or whoever's setting up, and you got to account for that. It's a whole thing, and I'd like to have a better understanding on that before I comment on it.
Me too.
It says great. If you could see it, it says one game without fans equals a $640,000 loss.
So $640,000,
and that's if the players take a prorated salary
times 80. That's $51.2 million per team.
Per team.
Times 30 teams.
Even want to play?
What's that?
Why do the owners even want to play this season then?
That's what I'm saying, is that they're making it so hard, and with the rules and everything, because I could see players, as much as some players, they want to play, I could see a lot of veterans being like, this is a twilight of my career, and I am not doing this. You know, you guys can let me go, or you know what I'm saying? I could just see guys being like, I'm just not doing it, because it's not – I'm old. I'm a veteran. I don't need to. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of just like that. I'm not going to.
The more we talk about this, the more I'm convincing myself that I really don't want to see a season this year.
Well, so I'm thinking
football is going to be gone too.
If this is the case, and I'm trying to put myself in the owner's position, and I'm thinking, well, you probably do this in the hopes that halfway through the season, this goes away, and you can start getting fans in with the intention that you can have fans attend games, and that's how you start making your money back. Yeah. But also, they probably don't. If there's no guarantee that this will go away, then they probably don't want to. But there's potential lawsuits from players and staff that if they don't make an effort to put together a season, then that could cause them to be sued by lots of players for their money, because you can't guarantee that. I mean, no one in their wildest dreams would have ever thought that this would be the situation we're in right now. And you get a guy like, say, Garrett Cole, who's making $30+ million a year, and now you're telling him, well, now you're not going to get that money, even though you have a signed contract because of this pandemic. Then he could sue you.
I don't
so
know
if they're not
in the contract, so they have the act of God, and this is an act of God.
There's always an act of God clause.
Yeah, there's always that, and there's the owners will always be able to get out of that. It sucks because that's something that they push for, and the union agreed to it, and not just the MLB union. Almost every union agrees to the act of God. Because who thinks this would happen?
Nobody.
I mean, it's never happened before. Mm-hmm. So it's like,
but maybe there's verbiage that doesn't protect them in this particular sense. Maybe act of God is for hurricanes, and we don't know what the verbiage is in the contract. So maybe there's something in there that could potentially harm them. Maybe we don't know.
Unfortunately,
I can't get on that.
Brad's saying it's what Brad's saying. I just think they're gonna we'll start.
I mean, as
21, there's nothing we can do.
Mm-hmm. It's just and as much as, as much as I want it
to do it, you can't do it.
I say
on the money.
I say talking it through, because coming into this conversation, I was all for it. I want baseball because I'm a baseball fan. But after talking it through with you guys, I think it might be in everybody's best interest to just cancel the season. Anything that's contractually committed to just gets pushed to next season.
Well, right. And that's the thing I want to know. What they're going to do.
Because service time.
Because if you're the Dodgers right now, you can't trade away all those guys from Mookie Betts and then have Mookie Betts count his last year, count this year, and he was signed to somebody else in 2021. And basically they just give up all those players for nothing, except for David Price. But that's not right. There's got to be different.
I
you almost have to put service time on hold, because then you fall into the position with rookies and players that would be ready to play in the big leagues this year, and they would have lost their rookie status. Now that gets carried over another year. Or you get guys that would have been going to arbitration or going to free agency this year after this. Now you lose out on that year of team-friendly salary, and they're going to go and ask for big money. So
I think everything just needs to be frozen right now.
That's the thing. Is
even with the 80 game schedule, you have to change service time somehow, because, like you said, Brad, it's screws over the Dodgers for trading for Mookie Betts, because you're trading him for a full season. You're not getting a full season. And Yankees signing Garrett Cole to a 9-year deal, you're only getting him for 8.5 years.
But he's going to be fresher that 9th year.
But yes, from a health standpoint, yes. But from a money standpoint and from ownership standpoint, there's so many aspects to this that creates so much confusion around it, and that you can't just slap a proposal down and say, okay, this is what we're going to do. You got to have all this stuff worked out first. And if they're going to plan to start mid-June or July for spring training, that's not a long period of time to figure this stuff out. And there's going to be resistance from one side or the other, and it's going to be more headaches and more pulling hairs than people seem to think it will be. So again, maybe we just cut our losses and nix the season.
It's just you almost want to just say, you obviously don't do it this way, but 2021 is just 2020 on the books, and you just, that year is gone. It's almost like with the rules and what we're seeing, it's not worth it for the players or the owners. and for the fans can't even go. So
it's
what?
Bad timing.
And it just sucks because you've still got MLB in limbo. You've got the NBA and the NHL, and those guys are waiting for one of those leagues to do something. And all three of them are sitting there, and by the time they try to move, it's going to be July 1st. And it's like,
NBA and NHL, they just need to cancel the season. There's no reason to even resume this.
And that's what I'm saying. It's just, it's got to be those leagues. The NFL, they're starting to move towards everything's going back to normal. They're opening up facilities. The players are going to be with each other. Unfortunately, the NFL is going to work because the NFL is a multi-gazillion dollar. You know what I'm saying? And just MLB, there's no way for the MLB to make money on this, and that's what it all comes down to, is they're going to lose money regardless, no matter what happens, is that the MLB and the owners are going to lose money. It just seems like what Greg's saying, it's going to go back and forth, where it's just going to be like, guys, it's July 15th. We can't do shit.
Yeah,
you're gonna create so many more headaches trying to negotiate all this that it's just not going to be worth it. And then I think it was after this year, the MLB was supposed to renegotiate a new collective bargaining agreement. Well, now you're going to put this on top of that with all the friction caused by that, and then it could lead to a strike, and you might not have baseball next year either. So we have no idea.
I would say they should stop the season and work on the collective bargaining agreement and just be done with it.
Selfishly, we don't have a really bad time because the Red Sox were not going to be a good team this year. Chris Sale's
from a Yankee standpoint, yeah.
Chris Sale's going to be out. The Astros are going to be getting heckled all year. This was kind of the year that the Yankees are going to miss out on. It just it's
going to be that what if year, right?
Yeah, but
what if everything went on the way it was supposed to go on?
And are probably still the better team on paper, but.
And I'm glad you brought up the Astros, Brad, because. And I will take absolutely every opportunity to bash them because they're definitely going to get off so easy with all this. They were supposed to – their punishment was supposed to be traveling to all the ballparks in MLB and getting heckled and getting yelled at and screamed at and having to answer questions from reporters all the time. And now that's not going to happen. And they're getting off so easy. Red Sox.
Here, buddy.
Yep, probably.
Altuve's like, well, there is a God. God must have been an Astros fan.
Seriously, that's what I'm starting to feel that way because they're just getting off so easy with all this, and it's not what they deserve. Red Sox too, but that's a different conversation.
Like I said, the thing is that we're getting down to a point, and it's depressing as sports fans, but it's also depressing as Americans that this is real and it's been real and it's like now it's even realer because they're taking away, like you said, the NBA and the NHL should have already been done. But like I said, I think they're waiting for another person to step forward. And I think they're waiting for the baseball to step forward but with the rules and the revenue, there's no way. There is no possible way, especially after listening to those rules. If I'm a 15-year vet, I'd be like, that's great. I'm not doing that. It's just not worth it.
I think the hole that's been dug is so big, it's like Grand Canyon sized, and the effort to fill it back in would be so monumental that it's just not worth the hassle.
Take the 6 or 7 months or whatever it is before the winter meetings happen and bang out that collective bargaining agreement so there's no strike.
Good luck with that one.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just like I said, it's just something where, and as a football guy, it's like, it might happen to football too, and it terrifies me that might not be any football either. But it's like, what are they supposed to do? There's just we're in a quarantine right now. People are opening back up, and I know that the MLB said they would lose 6 points.
It's very odd that Cuomo, actually, the governor of New York, for anyone that doesn't know, he actually said today he thinks that sports should resume, and he actually hopes that your teams.
He did say that. I don't know if he's. I don't know.
I don't. See, that's so weird because he's the one that's been wanting to stay closed. He's been so against the reopening, and now he says that.
Well, he's a Niners fan. He knows the Niners are ready to go. So it's. But
Niners fan?
I have no idea. I just think that and I look at it from the MLB 640,000 they're saying a game. Imagine what it would be for football. That would be a couple million a game, maybe even more than that a game they would lose without fans, you know what I'm saying? It's just, it's a weird time we're living in, and it's almost like they need to get someone in there and just be like, NHL, you're closed. NBA, you're closed. MLB, you anywhere close, great, you're done. You know what I'm saying? Just have someone do it.
Yep, someone's got to make the executive decision.
Exactly, and the president isn't going to do that, but someone's got to step in and be like, listen, we're done. There's nothing more we can do. It's
you
just
don't want
not
to be the guy known in the United States as the guy that shut down sports for the year. So,
president won't do it. President won't do that.
Oh, he would never do it.
No. But anyways, I mean, is there anything else you guys want to touch on? Because I feel like we covered.
We're in agreement now. Like after talking about this, that if these are the rules they have to follow, we all don't want a season, right? Because I want to see baseball, but not like this.
Mm-hmm. And the other thing we were going to talk about was Bryce Harper came up with an idea, a proposal for how to handle the season. And just after everything we talked about, it almost doesn't seem worth it to even dive into that because, one, it's kind of false hope. Two, it's just we're spinning our wheels here. We're just trying to figure out how this can work, and from any side of it, it doesn't make sense anymore.
So we do have a question though. RPZD Joker says, what do y'all think of the rest of sports doing about this situation? Well, I mean, it's just, it might have to someone's got to come in and say, you're all shut down. And we'll, cause I'm pretty sure every minor league or farm league is shut down already for NBA, NHL. And I don't know about the MLB too. Right? Isn't the MLB?
They closed the minor leagues.
They closed the minor leagues. So it's like, if you're going to close the minor leagues, why wouldn't you just close everything else?
Mm-hmm.
It's just, I don't know. It's going to be. I honestly think that it would be less of a headache, not only for the MLB, but for people like us that cover this stuff, and we keep having to talk about the same shit every single time. It's like. Just get it over with, and we'll talk.
I think it sucks. I think we just have to all suck it up and deal without sports. Hopefully by 2021, there's a vaccine a vaccine has been tested and works that will be available, and I think that's when the safest time to resume any sports will be. And I think that's the smartest thing to do. It's something we want to do. But that's something we want to see. But I think that's the most logical thing to do, and I'd be fine with that.
And I was.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Gregor. You're good, buddy.
I was just gonna say, we need hard evidence that this thing is going away. Yeah. Like you said, tested vaccine numbers need to be going down to where nobody has this thing anymore. Because the last thing everybody wants is to everyone get their hopes up and have them be told, "All right, let's do this," and then 2 weeks later have to shut down again.
Well, we are, they're starting to reopen stuff, which is nice. Because our numbers are actually, and I know in Florida, because my grandmother lives in Florida, she went out to dinner. So it's like, well, that's open. And you know what I'm saying? It's just
stuff is open down here. And I'm actually going to be going back into my office starting next Monday. So, but we have a whole bunch of protocols that we're going to have to
Disney Springs is opening this week, right?
Yep. Disney Springs is opening, and Universal City Walk opened over the weekend.
I want to get your guys' opinion on this because I'm not really sure how you feel about this. Now, where the reopening thing is because the curve is flattened, is what they say. But it's flattened because everyone's staying inside and avoiding other people. So how is reopening going to help anything? Like I don't get it.
Brad, that's the $1 million question, I think. I don't get it. I don't get it because I still keep hearing that the numbers aren't going down. But I guess it depends on which news network you listen to. But I haven't heard any evidence that this is going away anytime soon. And I keep hearing that there's another wave that could potentially come through. And if there's a risk of another wave, a second wave, because everybody's opening back up and you're going back outside, exposing yourself, even if you follow social distancing and wear a mask, there's still going to be people that don't follow it and that don't think it'll happen to them. And they'll get it. And then those numbers will just go right back up again. We'll be back in this situation again. So you don't know.
You don't know, but I'm one of the people that has one of the most unpopular opinions about it because I would like to see the numbers once it goes through a year of a cycle and then put it next to the common flu and see which one killed the most because the flu is going to win. It just, to me, it seems like social media, all that stuff has made it a little bit worse than it is. And of course, we got to fix it. We got to do what we got to do. But the social distancing, all that stuff, but you're still out with people. And like the numbers aren't getting that. You know what I'm saying? It just seems like when the flu came out the first time ever in the world, people died. They made it through it. You know, it's unfortunately it's kind of like thinning out the numbers, which is not fun to say, but it just seems like this disease is not hurting the country, but it's just I just think that
it's hurting the country.
No, I'm saying it's just I just think that it's just I don't know. It's just for me I bang my head against the wall because it's like I've been out golfing, I've been out with my buddies, everyone's been fine. You know, it just seems like, and I didn't have a mask on golfing, talked to numerous people without masks on. It just seems like there is an age.
It's actually pretty amazing how many customers that come into my store that don't wear masks. And all ages, races, everything. It's just some people just live their
The
life.
problem is that people are going to start getting nasty like they are in Michigan, where they're starting to protest with guns in front of the Capitol. And I think that a lot of people are going to start being like, we need to open shit back up before they start revolting.
There was a fight at the Lowe's, I think in Glenville, where someone didn't like that someone was standing right behind him in line without a mask on. They were too close to him, so they turned around and said something. Then that guy, who was clearly an asshole, purposely coughed on the guy because he didn't believe in it, which started a big fight, and they both got thrown out of the store.
But that's the thing.
Tensions are running high.
It's just that's the thing, and it's just it's almost like we need to go back to normal for our sanity and see what it does, and see if the numbers double or the numbers. You know what I'm saying? Because you have test subjects, but you really don't have a test subject once things have gotten to where they are to see what happens. It's almost like a state should just be like the guinea pig. Say, let them all free in North Carolina, see how many die. And then we'll go back to it. I just think that some people,
you gotta stay out of office, man.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Yeah, your tactics are a little extreme, buddy.
Hey, someone's got to be a guinea pig. You know, it's just
survival of the fittest is Tino's theme, right?
And you know what? I would be the first one to die. I'm fucking fat, and I smoke cigarettes. I should have had it in the beginning. I have had zero. Nothing's wrong.
Yeah, I chew crack down a hill by now.
Yeah. I mean, what did they say? Like respiratory issues, overweight. I'm good. I don't wear a mask.
Well, you don't leave the house much either, do you?
Oh yeah, I do all the time. That's the thing too. I go out all the time.
I thought about it, I don't think I want you in the neighborhood.
It's I see these people are like getting very tense about it, and it's just as unfortunate as it is. It's just that some people are going to do drastic. And some people are going to do what they're told to do, and some people are going to be assholes. But that's life.
It'd be nice if, and I know it's unrealistic, but it would be nice if there were enough tests available for everyone in the country. Everyone would get tested on the same day or same week, and then we get the results back. And then whoever's sick is quarantined, whoever doesn't, and then it'd be over. But it's just not real.
Yeah, you can't do that, though. You can't put people that would be worse, I would think. If they were like, you can go out, you can't. You can go out, you can't. You know,
that's basically what we're doing anyway, right?
I know. It's just, and it's just it's never happened before, and
I don't want to talk about it anymore.
It's unfortunate. It sucks.
I'm gonna keep it safe. I'm gonna wear my mask. I'm gonna stay away from people. I really don't like people to begin with, so I'm all for social distancing.
Yeah, Greg is always the friend that yell at you for not covering your mouth if you sneeze anyway. So.
Yeah, well, I don't want your germs. Nasty. Cover your mouth. Anyways, yeah.
They don't have to anymore. They got a mask on.
Huh?
They got a mask on. They don't have to do it anymore. Some people might just keep it on and be like, I don't have to cover my mouth.
The people that don't wear their mask, that sneeze on you.
True.
Yeah. But virus or not, you shouldn't be sneezing on people. That's just disgusting. But that's unsanitary. That's hard.
That's my biggest fear is like a revolution.
Unless you're on the floor at a concert and you got to clear some space out.
You can start that circle pit.
Concerts. Speaking of concerts, man, I hope they come back soon. Oh, it's gonna be such a huge year for SPAC up here at Saratoga, New York, and I don't think it's gonna happen. It was a great year for shows.
Mm-hmm.
They did actually. They did open up the racetracks though, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, they are doing the racetracks.
Which is still Saratoga. They're not going to let people in, but people are still going to get in. There's so many ways to sneak into that place. It's just like, oh, I work here.
Yeah, was it really fun going there by yourself? You can't even place a bet.
That's what you got your phone for, buddy.
I was going to say, you probably have to do it.
That's what I did this weekend. I lost my ass. So
I hope you find it.
Well, me too.
All right, so we're approaching an hour here. Sorry to get into the nitty-gritty on the coronavirus. I know a lot of people don't want to talk about it. Some people do, but let's reach out to the people that are watching here. Our one fan, our PZD Joker. We're going to call you our one fan.
More than one fan. Come on.
But anyways, those of you that are watching or listening, let us know what you think. Tell us what you think about the MLB's proposed solution. Blake Snell's comments. Whether or not you think that MLB should just say, let's just call it a year and see you next year. What do you think? Let us know what you think. Tell us your comment. Leave a comment. Send a message. Whatever. On all our social network platforms, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, whatever. We could talk about it next time we record. It'd be great to hear from you guys. Tell us what you think. We can maybe set up a Q&A session for next time, get the word out. We can talk more about sports in general, baseball, whatever. Doesn't matter. We can maybe even have like a top 5 sports movie conversation between us. Maybe steer the conversation away from coronavirus and baseball or sports, specific sports in general. Maybe we could talk about all-time sports or all-time athletes, all-time Yankees. Maybe get some more Yankee conversation back into the show because it is a Yankee chatter. We haven't really spoken specifically about the Yankees in a while, and we haven't really had a reason to. Number 1 sports movie, Air Bud. we could talk about all sports in general, whatever. Doesn't matter. I'm open, but we just would love to have a conversation with those of you that watch us and follow us and are supporting us and getting us through this time. So with that being said, this is Yankee Chatter, episode number 33. My name is Greg Andriano, down here in sunny Orlando, Florida. You can find me on Twitter at GregAndriano05. My handle's right there. Gentlemen, care to share?
Yeah, let's go to Joe Boo up there.
Yeah.
Where can we get a hold of him, Tino?
eBay. I got it from a voodoo guy, but I think you can find him on eBay.
As long as you don't have to sacrifice any full chickens.
Yeah, right. I'm gonna go to KFC tomorrow, man. I've been craving that. The
bucket.
Bigger and Bradder, we got a bunch of stuff coming up with football season. It's gonna be a fun summer. Hopefully, we got football coming up. Maybe baseball. We don't, Just be on the lookout if you want to be on the Q&A. I'll do a video about it so you guys can leave your questions there or join us on the show. We'll try to give you as much notice as possible. And you guys know where to find us: Instagram, Twitter, Joe Boo.
Yeah, and I'm Brad. I'm usually just piggybacking one of those two guys. So
we're happy that you're there.
You look good.
This is a group effort, though. This is a group effort.
Looks good.
33%. We're all good. Thanks everyone for joining. For those of you that have watched the entire episode or have come in and out, thank you very much. We are eternally grateful. We're not thinking you're the claw. That is actually, we are really sincere in that statement. The claw, Toy Story.
I just watched that.
It took a second. We got you there, Tino.
My daily dose I watched.
I was bummed out when the Slinky died. The guy who did his voice, not the real dog.
Oh, Jim Varney.
Yeah, Ernest.
Apparently, he went to Amanda's high school.
Heavy smoker.
He
was a heavy smoker.
Can you tell the voice?
I thought he was. Is Amanda from Canada?
No, she's from Alabama, but she went to high school in Kentucky.
Oh man, I thought Barney was a Canadian. Good fun fact. Good one, Gregor. I thought he was Canadian for some reason. I don't know.
Nope. Kentucky. So, anyways, thanks everyone for tuning in. We'll put out another episode soon. Catch you then, and subscribe, like, share, tell your friends, all the above, to both Bigger and Badder Sports, our major network that carries this show, and Yankee Chatter. Thanks again. We'll see you soon. Have a good night and stay safe.